go ahead and call to order. It's 11:01. And can everybody, excuse me, review the minutes from our last meeting? And if there's any corrections, let me know. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve in a second.
I'm making a motion to approve.
Jeff? I have this out of order because I want to make sure I correct it. And Brian? Okay. And how about the agenda for today? Any additions or corrections or subtractions? Try not to make this a real long meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Move to approve. Okay, thank you, Anne. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, well, let's get started. I just learned, speaking of the column, that we do have the next article, which will be for the fall edition, is due on September 15th. So everybody start thinking about what that should be. And if anybody wants to volunteer to write something, let me know.
Do they include photographs in it?
Oh, yeah, you can see, I don't know, they didn't always, but when I've been writing the articles, which I have, it's next page after, Stuart's thing. It's right in there.
So the article is due on the 15th.
Yes, but it's usually a couple of months.
Yeah.
I went too far, I think it was before Stuart. But there weren't always photographs, and maybe I think whoever the editor of this, it's now, Nancy McCubbin, I think, is now the person that do it. But I always send photographs. It's easy enough digitally to go take a picture of something.
Okay, cool.
And actually, Patty provided all those photographs. Her sister has some pretty fancy double-sided, compost bin. I guess one would have stuff that's more ready to use and others not, but yeah.
Is there a word count?
Nobody has ever cut my text. But I think they just kind of, I have to go back and see what the word count was in this. I try to make it interesting, wordy, but I think it's around maybe 350, something like that. I'd have to go back and see what this one was. Anybody word counts?
I have a question in the article
Yes.
because it's going to be published and when it's going to be published.
Well, probably not. I don't think we'll probably get them until like October or November. There's a long lead time because there's a lot of ads, there's a lot of content. I'm not sure if everybody honors the deadline. This is the way I do.
I would
Would you have something?
suggest, not knowing whether this goes in the CPI violations, but an article about the benefit of leaving some of your flowers with the seed heads in the garden in the winter instead of
Well,
cutting them all back.
we have,
It's better for the environment and your beneficials. I mean, I don't cut them. I leave a certain percentage of them up.
that might fly in the face of the beautification efforts here, and you don't think so?
I think it's fine. I leave a lot of my
Yeah,
flowers not dead, so where birds can eat them.
yeah, for the seed benefit.
Well, did they do a sunflower field again? I don't think I saw it, but okay, because that's one of the great things that I've seen the
Just start with them.
association to do.
Yeah.
They right by the North Gate, whole field of sunflowers, and they leave those seeds there, and
Yeah,
So people
Is that
might say-
replanted or is that from last year? Or you told us that?
John Viola staff does it, Public Works.
it's generally, I think sunflowers are annuals, but they do sometimes self-seed. It's birds, the seeds the birds don't get. Some people might say, hey, they're not gonna get tracked geese, but there's lots of other birds that eat the seeds. Well, if you have some ideas on that, maybe.
well, I'm just asking because I think that would be a good thing for the timing of people, cleaning out their gardens and stuff over them.
Yeah, I have a lot of ornamental grasses and I usually don't chop them down until March.
Right.
But then there's the evil sea oats, which I think Jeff and his wife have dealt with. We have to cut this, if you don't cut the seed heads off those, if you have any of those, they'll just proliferate.
Yeah.
What do they look like?
They kind of look like a grass with a top that looks like a wheat, or the oats, I guess. I could send you a picture because I have, unfortunately, I was a member of a garden club in my main home and they had plant swap and they were giving those away and I had no idea they were so invasive at the time. So I had them all over. They're very hard to get rid of.
How,
We have some.
are they very sharp, like
Really?
firm grass?
Pretty firm, but they're not, but they have, the seed heads are very distinctive. They're not like I have a lot of miscanthus, other grasses, perennial grasses that don't have that kind of seed head. All of them will proliferate if you don't keep them in check. Anyway, that's not great. It's a good idea, but I think it would need more than just,
That, I know,
And
like
just
tips on
follow,
gardening,
you know.
clean up for the fall or
yeah.
whatever. If that's something
I would be interested
in reading about.
maybe talking about, I think we've done some mulching leaves. I think it's okay if you mulch leaves to leave them in
Yes,
the yard.
and leave them in the
Yeah,
beds.
mulching
But-
board.
Yeah, in fact, I mulch my grass for the same reason.
Yeah.
And the grass, stays right
Right.
there and decomposes and
It's natural.
it
It's
actually
compost.
provides some
Right.
nutrients
Yeah,
for the
that's.
grass
that's
still
like
in
one
there.
month.
I forgot to mention this meeting is being recorded. You can see us. We're all up there, so everybody knows.
Who's PM?
That's my personal Pat's note taker. It's my little AI companion that takes the notes for me. In the secretary. Before I was chairperson, I used to take notes for our previous chair. And I think that probably helped, but I've also discovered that you can go, once the video is posted and you go onto YouTube and see a transcript, or you can get asked for it to show you a transcript, or you can also just watch the meeting if you have questions about, oh, what did somebody say? You get it from there. So, next item under my comments are term limits. And you are on a 1-year extension. So in reading over the documentation on the website about this, you can there's really no option to reapply for something after a third term, but then I noticed reappointment is another option.
If you were interested in continuing to serve, fill out the same piece of paper that says you're requesting an additional year.
You can only do one additional
But
year.
I've already done, yeah.
You can only do one at a time, but you can most certainly do it again.
Well, considering the diminishment of this committee, maybe that would be a good idea. My term is ending in September on our meeting date, actually, and I have decided not to seek a second term, primarily because it's just much more work than I had anticipated. I am a part-time resident. I feel like not being here all the time, I can't be on top of things. So I think that would mean that maybe at the next meeting, there should be an election for a new chairperson.
So it's not to spend.
Well, maybe I'm too thorough, but it takes me at least a day. I would say like better part of a day to do the minutes, right, from each meeting. And I've noticed that other committees, excuse me, but even the board meeting minutes are much, scant. They're scant. I probably put too much information. But that takes it, and then,
That's using your,
No.
agenda.
Well, it helps me with the minutes. I also usually just try to take some notes on each item as we discuss it. But yeah, and as I said, you don't have to do that. You can actually if you have an iPhone, you can get it to record me. I was just trying to try something new on techie things. Yeah, so it takes, then I have to do an agenda and, then for this particular meeting, I had promised to summarize Patty Gamby's comments. I did. And then but I've also been writing the majority of the articles for the Green Street. I think this is a great thing for the committee to have. And as I said, I can even, I'll help with a September one, but I just have, as I said, not being part-time, not being full-time. I have a lot of things going on at our full-time house. We're trying to do a bunch of renovations, get ready to downsize, and it's just, sorry, it's just too much for me. Because I guess I started, this is the chair for a year. I guess I started in kind of as a temporary chair after Tim resigned in July of last year. So I kind of did doing it since August of last year. And I'm not equipped. When I got rid of my 15-year-old laptop. I actually turned it over to my husband. All he does is he takes flash drives and puts music on them to listen to in his car. Because his new car doesn't have a CD player anymore. So. Anyway, and I found that the Chromebook, I thought, oh, this will be perfect. It's just not. It only has one USB port, and I don't like using the mouse on the keyboard. So I've always like, oh, got a copy. I got to put something on a flash drive, and then I have to go print it. I don't have a compatible printer for it, so I usually end up on Staples to print things. Yeah, just. It's kind of a part-time job. So anybody who takes it on, you do have to devote some hours to it every month. And follow up, like, I have a couple things I followed up on for this meeting. Anyway, yeah, I feel bad, and maybe I can come back on if some of my other things in my life clear up. But anyway, so and you can decide. I think you should get an extension request in at least a month in advance would be a good idea.
I likely will not, because I've been doing this now since 2018. And I have another volunteer.
I know you do with the
Humane Society that takes 40 hours a week of my free time.
Well, I think the minimum membership requirement is 3 people, and maximum is 9. Yeah. So I'm just, anybody who's staying on the committee, if you have other friends who are interested in this kind of stuff, please reach out to them. Okay, that kind of concludes my comments, and let's go on to old business. First of all, who is actually maintaining our oyster cage right now? I kind of lost track of that. Is anybody doing it?
I finished in June. Did get the new, I did turn in the oysters.
Oh, you did?
Put in the new spec.
Oh, great. Now, do we have to pay for that every time we get new spec?
$75. For 75.
I know we each gave money when we first got it, but I mean, that could be. Thank you for that. But just the oyster cage is on the, I guess it called a gazebo or pavilion at the Swim and Racket Club on the back of it. So maintenance, I have never done it, but I guess you just have to make sure it's free of algae. They're actually, you can grab a hose off the dock there, I think. Just there's a boat, it's a boat just behind a little marina, and a hose things off. So it's just a matter of making sure it hasn't been disturbed.
It's gotten a little more than that. I guess I missed a little bit of time. The last time I went, I had to use a chisel to get some of the
Really?
muscles and stuff off.
Oh, other things that Glenn, okay.
Yeah, you've seen it, right?
Barnacles. They're still in the bag. When we got it in the bag because it was so small.
Yes. I think I waited, then I released it back. I'll double check that.
Well, I'm gonna go back because I think when we first started that, I think Tim had a document about what the roles were, how to clean it. So let me.
I'll do it for you.
You do it, Ruby? Well, thank you very much.
So we have a cage and marine activity scopes have a cage. Where's theirs?
At the yacht club.
Okay.
And speaking of which, the next item under this is about the cage and signage, and I'm going to go to Jeff on that.
I'll give you an update. So Pat, on behalf of your committee, has asked me to approached the association, the Marine Activities Advisory Group had a very nice sign put up, so when you're walking by, you would notice it. And it talks about the benefits of, keeping the water clean, and there's a quick response code you can get, take a picture of to
QR
get more
code, yeah.
information. So Pat asked me to ask the association if you all could have one for yours, and it's already been sent in and is being constructed as we speak. And
Pretty fast.
they will put it up and everything, so.
So the original one was owned by who?
It was Coastal Bays, and
Right.
it disappeared. I don't know if it was taken down by Ocean Pines or Coastal Bays. I asked Coastal Bays, they never responded.
So I can pass it around. The picture looks like I took a picture of it.
I will say this, Steve, I also have a personal oyster cage.
Me too.
When I took them back, Joe was pretty impressed. We had it bucket full of
Clean.
2 or 3 size, 2 or 3 inch huge, nice oysters. And to this day, I can't believe it. The spat is smaller than my fingernail.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't notice them growing and all of a sudden, oh, we got oysters out here. My wife, of course, wanted to start eating them, but no.
This is all done before I heard back from Jeff. So the Marine Activities Committee was very helpful. And it was like, wait a minute, they didn't go through a charging document. They actually had, John Latham is their, advisory, liaison. And it was like, I said, oh, sometimes you don't, sometimes you just ask nicely to do things.
But then you ask it a second time.
And then they think you're being nice. But I think Jeff did make the point in his communications that we had one first.
There you go.
We were there first, but we just assumed, oh, we'll just take over this spot where there was an existing sign that Coastal Bays no longer maintain.
Pass it around.
Was asked me to explain as well.
So it's a very small credit line you get at the bottom, but I was also kind of like, wow, they got all this. They got mentioned in the weekly email blast. There was there was a Facebook post about marine activities getting theirs, and it's like, well, did have one first.
So can I just go ahead and give my other update?
Oh, yeah, mine.
So I followed through on the Vine issue. So I asked the associate, I went out and took some pictures and sent them in, so get that on into their list to do, so I followed through on that, so. we'll see.
Okay. So they're in agreement or?
I don't know yet. I'm sure, I mean, I sent in probably 7, 8 pictures.
Yeah, when I have better bandwidth, which I only have one bar here, I can maybe forward those photos to the rest of the committee. Because it's basically the trees are obscured by vines. We're taught, you explain exactly what that
So,
is.
I mean, again, you all asked me to do this, represent you on this issue, and where I see the issue is if you're walking down the stone dust walking or running trail around the South Pond, particularly behind the Veterans Pavilion, that's a high visibility, high profile area. You look to the right and you look at or depending which way you're walking, you look at the pavilion, it's well taken care of. I don't know if the garden club does some stuff. I mean, it looks beautiful. Then you look towards the pond, you'll notice that, you can't really see the trees. The vine growth is really covering that. So I've asked on your behalf for consideration to take care of that.
Yeah, so I think the trees the cherry trees that face the 589, they're okay. I don't think I've seen vines growing there, but it's the ones that are kind of the edge of whatever little forest we have there.
Yeah, because the vines will kill the trees.
Yes.
I mean, it's not just a matter of being pretty, it's for the health of the
They'll
tree.
choke the trees.
I got a question about poison ivy.
Yeah, there's poison.
Who eradicates the poison
You
ivy?
can set it.
I mean, I do in my yard, but I see it around the
There's 3
mailboxes.
back there now.
Oh, that's not too good.
Around what mailbox? Where I live, which is the mailbox is on Woodbridge. And there's poison ivy around.
So,
gonna just bring my own
I'll,
spray and spray.
again, I'll follow up on that, but I just wanted you all to know that I am.
that's great. I really appreciate it. That-
And that's something that I would see as being some sort of like sponsored by the Environmental Natural Assets Committee in the wintertime sometime to have a blind eradication day or
There you
something.
go.
So.
Yeah, I think that would, I don't know if that could be part of, you know, talking about doing Earth Day next year around there, but that's great.
That because of, poison ivy.
Well, I was concerned because there's children that go by there, it's a bus stop there. And maybe not everybody knows what poison ivy looks like.
They know it when they touch it.
Yeah, they'll find it.
We'll find out, but yeah, I think it's the association's responsibility to keep those mailboxes. Send an email to info@opa.org.
Okay.
And, you know, site, maybe if you have a photo, you can show them where it is, give them the location. That is the best way for an individual to get things done, I think.
I've also called Public Works about that issue with our mailbox. They came out the next day.
Really?
Somehow during I guess it was when we had all this snow. Yeah. They had done a good job of clearing it, but then it kind of washed away the gravel there on Watertown Island. They came out, poured a load of gravel there within days, so
Yeah, I don't use this, my Ocean Pines address, all my mail comes to my primary home, except the other thing you can sign up for, I would recommend is, post office has a service where they'll alert you. It's called- if you've got mail coming, and I still get promotional emails in that mailbox, but usually it's, you know, it's okay. I don't really need to go grab that. I don't use it for any official bills or correspondence, but, what's that thing called? Oh, anyway, you can sign, and I actually had signed up for 2 addresses. And you'll get an alert if something's coming to your mailbox or a package is coming from the post office. I mean, a lot of times, I still have, on occasion, have misdirected mail in my mailbox. If somebody else on my street, I'll just take it to them.
brother had lives down here part-time and he neglected to get a post office box because he's just not here enough to go to it
You mean,
in Ocean Pines.
you mean going to the actual post office?
Yeah, he doesn't have a box at all, so he doesn't get any mail here. But he can't get packages delivered to his house because he doesn't have a box, which I thought was.
Well, I mean, don't you
Even though he puts
automatically
his-
get one?
If they don't recognize him in Pines or something.
You have to go to the post office and.
Get a key.
And tell them who you are and show your address, and then they give you the key.
Yeah, we've had our house I remember we had to go get a key, and I think we had to pay for it. There was, there's a mailbox assigned to each address. And only ours, in our section 10, they're pretty bad shape and like handwritten. It's like, I always have to remember where it is.
Yeah, I have a key, I don't have a mailbox anymore. Only way I can get my mail if I have to go to the post office.
You're about to have a shiny new mailbox. You're gonna be so happy with your new mailbox.
It's, yeah, it keeps getting delayed.
Anyway, okay. So mailboxes is something people can,
In fact, after the meeting, I'm gonna go down to the post office, to get my mail.
don't forget now.
Well, I have a question about that.
It takes me 20 minutes sometimes.
Excuse me?
I have a question about that
And farm
tracking.
delivery, I think is what it's called.
Is it based on your address or is it? I'll back up. My granddaughter lives with us, so we have mail coming to my husband's name, my name, or my granddaughter's name. Does she have to separately?
No, it's just anything that goes to that address.
Okay,
Because I'm still getting, a mail that's junk mail, say, addressed to the previous owner. Yeah.
Okay.
It's mostly like,
but they'll alert you. I mean.
yes, it's,
the
yes,
post office.
farmer.
You can sign up for it, and I get an email every day, and I can click on the email and see what mail would be in my
So
box.
then
And I can decide, that's really important, and
Okay.
I'll not
Yeah, it'll even say coming soon and, but
packages,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yes,
But
my
a
granddaughter
lot of
gets
times
that.
it's just also motions from the post office, sometimes. A lot of stamps keep going up. Who uses stamps anymore?
Well, I-
Okay. let's,
But I do.
Couple of weeks ago.
let's move on to the next item. We've been talking about this, going to see a whole lot of more information about oysters and other things that they do at the University of Maryland's Horn Point Laboratory. Very nice person got back to me, and I had thought, well, gee, we could have done it on our meeting date. They have another private tour that day. So I suggest if we want to do this as a group, that we give at least two alternative September dates where we could go. So we can make sure that they don't have something else scheduled. Or everybody could go to up until Labor Day, they have tours, regular tours, I think on Tuesdays. So but that would be like this month and next month. That anybody can go to. As I said, the general tour is a 90-minute one, but if you only want to go to the hatchery, it's 60. I just have a lot of questions about oysters because it's like, I know they're filter feeders, but when do they have to open their shells to get the dirt out? It's like, I've never seen an oyster feeding, so I don't know what that looks like. But those of you who have oyster cages, maybe you've seen it. I don't know.
I've never seen it, but I mean, they just crack it,
A little bit. And they feed on like they're vegetarians, I assume. Plankton, any algae. They eat the stuff that we don't want in our canals, so that's why and the amount of water they filter is amazing. It's like
50 gallons a day.
So they must be opening those shells at some. So does anybody want to look at their calendars? I'd like to get back to the tour person.
We just ask for the day before and after, or do they only do it on Wednesday?
No, we can go any day, because we're asking for, I think, the 90-minute. I mean, if we're gonna drive all the way to Cambridge.
Right, yeah.
90 minutes.
For the week before.
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, any stage really, during the week, I'm fine with.
Don't want to go on, for instance. About like the 15th and 17th.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be here that week.
It's not available on Wednesdays.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Wednesday.
Yeah.
As I said, why doesn't everybody go back home when you go, look at your calendars and just everybody send me a couple of dates and I'll see which the most popular ones are and get back to it. Okay. Anything else on that? I'm gonna say before we get to the next item, maybe we could just do a little bit. Final item I had is the planning for day 2026. So I would suggest, since I'm only going to be here for 2 more meetings, as I noted, it's birthday's on a Wednesday, so I think we could probably get Beach Heroes to rally their troops to help us, but just maybe decide what the scope of it would be. We talked about, making a big effort around the Southgate Pond. And I think there's plenty of parking around there. If you include the library, the post office bank, and the sports court pool, they're never all full, those lots.
And then you drive into the building.
Oh, you can? You can park on the grass?
There's gravel in there. A whole parking lot right there. Yeah.
That's right, because they do, when they have the big events, people park there.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that could be like the starting point. Assign people there, but I would say, branch out along Macklin Creek, and Macklin Creek tends to get a lot of, because people will walk back and forth from those businesses. And I find people drop their soda cans or wrappers.
Who cleans up around the pond on the other side over there on businesses? Is that owned privately?
Oh, you mean on the side where the
Or
south gate?
Yeah.
grill is and all that. That is somebody, but you know what, when beach heroes go out, they clean up around commercial properties.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I'm trying to stick.
Yeah, I mean, I find that anytime you're around like a restaurant and you're working with beach heroes, cigarette butts
If we're
everywhere.
parking at Bayside Skillet, and actually, let's say Wednesday, yesterday, they had 103 volunteers waking up over in Ocean City, starting up around 103rd Street.
So I think we need to tap into that enthusiasm for that group.
It's oversaturated.
I did, and yeah, the last time I went, it was like, what is there left to clean? Because people show up early. People show up early and then it's like, and
It's a yard sale. Don't get there by, an hour early.
Stuff
The yard
going.
sale.
I was embarrassed that most of what I was able to pick up were like those cigar tips and those, if you're really good, you can get cigarette clips.
Oh, I have. Cigarettes.
And they get stuck in the crevices and things. But yeah, I think, beach heroes is too popular. Oh, nobody does that anymore. It's too popular. But, yeah, Veterans Park, Beach Park there. But it would also be, branching out into, that is like the only really heavily commercial area of Ocean Pines.
Both sides of Capitol, there's,
Yeah, Capitol is also,
what's to pick up, we got plenty.
and we can include, the other trail too, the whatever they call Route 90 Pond Trail, the one that has a variety of names. I mean, that was another project that we could come back to. We really wanted to do something there, but again, there's so much overlap between committees. I thought that was more of, Rec and Parks. It's a trail and they're supposedly, that's under their jurisdiction, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't, collaborate with them, collaborate with marine activities, some of these things that you see overlap.
And I would think that the trail cleanup or Southgate Pond cleanup, it wouldn't have to be in April. I mean, but once again, it could be one in December when all the leaves are dead. Crap starts rising to the top. And again, later on, 2 or 3 months later, where more stuff is.
I think that's a good idea because once the, summer season is kind of over, kids go back to school, there aren't the rental, because there's a lot of places that are rented in Ocean Pines, weekly rentals, Airbnbs. And I just find that there's more trash in the summer because there's more people here. It's because I live right near the South Gate.
But in conjunction with Parks and Rec.
That's an idea.
That's their.
A question for Jeff. Do you know who was responsible for the Frisbee?
Disc golf,
Disc golf? Huh? Oh, okay.
that's been,
I went and played yesterday with some buddies that like to do it. It was wonderful. First, Bainbridge Lake was very clean.
they did some work on that last year.
It's just part of the association.
So just did 18 holes through the woods and,
Yeah.
I mean, not even a tin can laying around.
So
It was fun.
I never understood that. Use frisbees.
Yeah,
It's a basket that throw it into.
yeah. But they actually have a starting place where you tee off from. There's a little sign there that's very professional. That'll tell you it's a dog leg over here, 50 yards.
Yeah, I
It's
just,
R3.
I see the sign there says disc golf. I'm like, I just was curious. I'm not that good with frisbees.
Yeah, that was, talked about, 6 years ago. And it's along in the planning stages, and I guess it came to fruition 2 or 3 years ago.
I don't know if that's what was initiated by Rec and Parks or somebody else, but I know, like, for instance, I think the bocce ball courts came just out of somebody who said, let's have, not a committee, just
Right.
person who said, can we do this? And who's played that? I played that.
I'm playing at the court shed. Beautiful. Yeah, and front drive looked very nice.
And the other thing, I remember that somebody recommended a new trail to the yacht club, the other neighborhoods. That was just sometimes if you just send a nice email to info, and somebody likes your idea, you could go places.
The trail done?
Yeah,
They blazed it themselves. So the person that suggested it did it.
Well, that's what,
He just got permission and he did.
Yes.
There you go.
that's what we wanted to see done at that Route 90 pond trail, because it's very confusing. It has various legs that go off here and there, and, you know, you could blaze it. Again, there's that Delmarva Trails and Waterways site. Is everybody familiar with that? I think somebody said that person that runs that site, it's very useful. They have a Facebook page too that you can follow. They know all about all the trails and ocean lines, but they might be somebody who, you know, has the equipment to professionally blaze. I don't know, just template, I guess, blue paint. But the very ambitious proposal, I think, that Patty made a year or two ago, about, you know, having nature signs and stuff. And I think then we're really getting into the, you know, it is Parks and Recs territory. I think the committee is actually wrecking parks, but I always put parks first because of the TV show. I hope their committee meetings aren't like that. Anyway, okay. Anything else on Earth Day? But I would suggest that, you know, maybe somebody take the lead on that chair and get started on it. And whoever takes over as chairperson, I'd be happy to provide flash drive with all of the stuff that I've done since I've been chairperson. And you know, also the extra recycling cards that we didn't give out at the kickoff. I have a whole box of them. And I think you still have some stuff stored at your house, right? All right. Okay, so I took and this said I called it Advisory Committee OPA Board Relationship. This is my distillation of this, all the things that Patty was frustrated about. So you know, and I didn't copy every single email because I think at some point she was just so that it wasn't pleasant, some of the things she wrote. But these are the things that, you know, she pointed out. And I think a lot of this just comes down to communication. That you know, there's just, you submit a charging document and then you only find out by accident that the project has happened. And that was with the goose crossing signs. Still there. And Patty was a little bit incorrect about the bee house request, because I remember taking notes from that meeting, so I know exactly what that was all about. And I think she pointed out, well, they declined our recommendation to put a mason bee house in the center of the community garden in Lakeland Meadows because they thought it was too close to a playground. So we explained the type of bees that populate that. They don't sting, they're solitary bees, but they decided it was still too dangerous, so they declined our request. And by the way, I had to make a correction in that because Mr. Viola apparently did not understand the concept of non-stinging bees. It's like, okay.
Do the people that have the garden plots there want?
Well, this project was initiated by just an independent group that it wasn't the garden club, it wasn't a committee, it was just some folks who said, we're interested in attracting pollinators to the gardens here, and they were gonna provide it and everything, but was declined. And I don't even remember what the group was. I'd have to go back to minutes from last year before I was chair and see.
I didn't catch what you said. Who is in charge of the current ones? Who put those out?
Oh, the pollinator gardens, the garden club.
The Ocean Pines.
Yes, that's it's a club, it's not a committee.
My wife is president of Wycomico County Garden.
Oh, okay.
Not down here.
Not Worcester, okay. But the, I think that's two different things because you don't find kids playing in the medians on Ocean Parkway. I mean, I think they look beautiful. I don't know if you've seen them.
They are beautiful.
And I think a lot of them are perennials, which, should come back, which, nice. I always try to promote planting perennials. I mean, everybody likes to have a petunia or two, but,
I'm very impressed in how well they've grown and filled out. I was like, okay, I didn't know how many plants they put in, but they must have put in, and they must like that spot, those spots.
Well, considering all the rain
Yeah.
we've received and the humidity and the heat, you know, just make sure they're heat tolerant. Yeah, I thought that was a great idea.
So, do you want comments on these points as we go, or, you know, because the one point of communication, listen, we all can be better communicators, but a lot of times those charging documents are answered at our board meetings.
So people would just simply pay attention to the board meetings, they would find out.
John Viola,
He
the
does it
general
for our board.
manager, does a presentation at the start of each board meeting, and he goes through the initiatives that he has accomplished over the past 30 days. And a lot of those are the results of advisory committees requests.
That, okay, well, that kind of goes down to the last item, but that being said, I think it would still be a nice courtesy to say, thank you, the request has gone to the board and the board has either approved it or declined. That is all I'm asking for. Because as I go through all of the guidelines for the committees and stuff, there's no real process for receiving feedback. And considering the amount, you know, it's work and paperwork, and sometimes you have to find out how much somebody's got a cost they're asking for, and you know, just a suggestion for
Yep.
the board. Okay, but yeah, if anybody has comments on these individual items, it was the Goose Crossing signs, that one was a little bit painful because, you know, we didn't know that.
Seriously, thing.
Yeah, and then the whole idea that some were repurposed, and we had people running around looking for them, and it's like, oh, somebody please, yeah, just tell us, we're taking some of them and putting them on I think some of them went on Robin Hood Trail or something where it crosses over a street. It's fine, I mean, they're not the committees, they're the associations, so I know. Just I'd say just communication. But I'm seeing that they're still up around Southgate Pond.
Yeah. And I put,
Three that are.
I
Oh,
put
that's it.
put some of them up a couple of times because they've been knocked over. And they're
Two
just
of them.
laying flat on the ground. And I think it's from the guys who mow. That's what I think.
But,
But I've had to put them back up and repair them.
well, I thought that I thought there were cross things that were put in to kind of stabilize them, but I think that was Patty's husband, and they did that, and I don't know if they're still there or not, but eventually the signs are gonna, you know, either go away or need to be redone because they'll fade.
But right now, there are two on Caffell and one on Macklin Creek Road.
Now,
That's it.
there's also one in Ocean Parkway.
No,
I thought there was still one on the park.
Oh,
Right,
yes,
yeah, right
you're
across
right,
the
across the
fire.
fire.
right.
And that, the median there is really wide, and there's trees in it, and the geese cross back and forth
Yeah,
there all
that's
the
a
time.
big piece crossing.
We originally had one on both sides of that part of the
Yeah.
parkway because of the,
There were 6, and I think 2 were repurposed.
no, we had 8.
We had 8.
We had 8, and John and I positioned 8, yeah. Had we been told, number one, that they were even there, that would have been a good start. And then had we been told that they were being repurposed, because nobody told, and I mean, everybody on this committee thought that people were, you know, kids were stealing them, or, you know, because East Crossing, you know. And that turned out not to be true, but they were disappearing with that information.
Yeah, that's because there's not, you know, not everybody agrees that we need to protect the waterfall. You know, it's like, you know,
Well, that's true too, but at least it would have been good. We understood that the signs belong to Ocean Pines. It would have been nice to have let us know that they were being moved, taken. Yeah.
They were stuck in a warehouse. There were a bunch of them over there.
right, and I think that was only somebody knew somebody in Public Works who said, hey, the signs are there. But, hey, okay, just, again, old news, it's settled issue now, but I just wanted to give Patty's comments some sort of listening. So, and the bee house was, generally, if you go to, the role of our committee, sound advice based on committee members' expertise, research and analysis, doesn't mean you're always going to take it, but, we thought we were giving them sound advice on, getting a bee house. And the goose egg angling, I actually kind of disagree that that's the best way to. I mean, it does, I couldn't even find anybody who would do that. So I just.
You all researched that and had a very difficult time finding a professional organization that would actually do it.
We found one, which was the company that, there are people who train dogs to chase geese. I used to work in a facility up in, Gaithersburg, Maryland, and we had a huge pond and they did it there where the dog person trainer comes out with their dog, the dog chases the geese, they
come
fly
back.
away. But they come back, I mean, it has,
It's not permanent.
the dog has to show up like once a week or something. That particular individual also, would addle eggs, but he had him here for, I don't know, a month or two, maybe. I'm not sure why, I'm not sure what happened there, but
They did try that. And
yeah.
But I don't know, I mostly am around Southgate, I see fewer geese. As a matter of
I
fact,
do too.
there's only one of
There's only
the
one white one.
domestic geese, and he or she hangs out with the Canadas now, but I think those were all lost to bird flu.
And one further comment on that, I mean, I took that charging document to the association, and the association agreed that they would, if you remember my feedback, they would do that for you if you gave them somebody recommendation on who they could do it, and that never happened.
I couldn't find anybody in the tri-state area, I mean, that would do it. But the other thing is, this is all related to the stalled Southgate shoreline restoration project, but part of that was plantings along the shoreline that are going to deter nesting because geese,
Right.
as you know, and you know a lot about them, they don't like to be where predators could hide. And it also included the turtle sanctuary that we had been requesting for a while. So it's unfortunately a stalled project, and we don't know when the grant money will be available because.
Plus the plantings would hold, I mean,
Yes,
because there's a lot of erosion, the whole point was to rebuild.
it had a multi,
Yeah.
function. It would deter geese nesting probably and help, stabilize the shoreline.
Sounds like a kinder way. Those other options are just seem cruel to me.
Other options we could only use.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this was before you lived here, but was it 2018 when they gassed
Killed them
them?
all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that. I personally find it charming. I don't understand unless they're bringing a disease, it's gonna make people sick. I just come here and you move to the Pines, it's supposed to be
A
a
nature
nature area. That's the charm.
Nature friendly. But, and I guess sometimes we've had times when we've had an overrun population
Yeah.
because there's resident Canada geese and then there's
Yeah.
migrating. The migration season starts when? September, October more?
It's difficult to know now with the changes in the climate. I mean, literally that affects what not only Canada geese, but lots of animals are affected by that. So I'm not sure when the migration period's going.
There are a lot fewer than when we are seeing a lot fewer.
Well, I think the bird flu, natural selection took care of some of that. But I also think the bird flu is sort of kind of run its course, hopefully, for the time being. Anyway, so I don't really think we need to get involved. I mean, the committee maybe, just keep an eye on it if you see it getting out of control, too many geese. So Brian, I remember it was you that pointed out that the golf course had decoys
Yeah,
and was doing nothing.
when I first went there, they had these fake swans. And I was in the bar having a beer, like, man, these swans, man, they're
They haven't moved.
but they look very real. And all of a sudden I looked around and on the shore, there's a couple fake coyotes and maybe something else. And I'm thinking, there's not a goose here. This is the answer. And the bartender goes, watch. And later on, a bunch of geese landed and almost knocked the swan over when they hit it. So
I didn't know they didn't like swans, but I can understand the coyotes.
yeah, it didn't seem bother.
So I mean, I
We
think
need one of those guys at the used car lot guy,
waving lily.
Waving Willie guy.
So I mean, I think it's just kind of, it's never gonna solve the problem, completely, whatever you do. So,
Because we're on the Atlantic coastal flyway.
yeah,
And
so we're always
so
gonna have
our areas prone to having east population, some permanent, some not permanent, but,
Eventually get into an exponential number of geese that, as some of the geese are walking by, you can almost see, which ones are parents and which ones are the old ones. And then you see all of them, and they all kind of get together. Now they're all the same size. And then you come back next year and they'll be more
all
times.
those goslings will now be adults that can breed.
but that's not, I mean, the geese that are migrating don't nest here and have their babies here. It's the
It's-
ones that were born here.
So once we get to see mature, they come on back.
Yeah.
Yes, so I don't know how many geese we know most of the domestic ones died of the bird flu,
Yeah.
were dropped here, but the others, we don't really know, but I definitely see a decline.
But there weren't many, right?
So I think the bird flu took care of a lot of that, but I have to just keep watching.
Someday we may be complaining about the deer population, but,
Well, we had a coyote in my backyard.
Yeah.
But, and he was peeing in my backyard and I'm looking and I haven't had a deer back there since, so you know what they say about coyote, you're supposed to keep deer away.
Oh.
I'm guessing it's worked because I've been seeing deer eat my hibiscus all summer.
Oh,
And the deer used to tear through my hibiscus. So I'm saying, okay, well, the coyote was a good thing then.
Yeah, I think we live too close to a commercial area and we don't really have any big forest where I live, so I don't see deer here. I'm sure see them in Montgomery County.
they come over here. I
Really?
live in Southgate.
There.
Yeah,
Here,
They
and then
eat my
some of my back.
pastas and
Yeah.
meat tender.
Well, hostas,
Same.
we call that deer lettuce.
Yeah.
He's primary house.
Well, they didn't used to. When we first moved here, they did not farm plants. I think it's when they did that new construction of King Richard, they took out.
Drove
their-
out a lot, that was.
They,
forest.
they took away their habitat, so now they're coming in the. Things that way.
Yeah,
At
so
least they're coming in my neighborhood.
I live in Montgomery County. I live near a huge light rail construction project. It's called Purple Line, supposed to connect two ends of Metro. And they have, we're in a Sligo Creek watershed, and they have taken down a lot of trees, and they've driven the deer up into the neighborhoods where they frequently visit. And I've tried to plant deer resistant things.
Yeah.
They like to, I have a couple of fig trees in the spring when they start to bud, they'll just come by and nip off all the branches they can reach. But, again, oh, look, it's a little deer family in the yard. again.
Irish Springs, so I had a problem in Baltimore County. Our farmhouse backed into the park, the state park, Tapsco State Park. And when we moved in, we had deer wandering in and eating all the new bulbs I planted. And I had relatives in West Virginia, my aunt and uncle, who were naturalists. And I called my aunt, said, what can I do? She said, go get yourself some Irish Spring soap, get yourself some small sticks that, about that high. Cut the soap in half, put half a bar of soap on a stick, put it in your garden. Do it every, 4 or 5 feet. The deer won't come near your garden, and they don't like the smell of Irish Spring soap.
I don't like it
It's-
either, but it's very.
Right,
small.
right. My neighbors thought I was out of my mind until they noticed that the deer started
You
eating.
just put a bar
their
stove
stuff.
up,
Yeah.
bar stove near the plants.
Huh?
Yeah, put a bar stove in some. Get your,
How did they find that out?
I have no idea why I am.
oh my gosh, it was gorgeous.
Insects, ants,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
mosquitoes.
I think those of you that live on the water. get a lot of-
Lion.
People.
They're saying the eagles,
Kind of
that-
chipping.
my
Yeah.
God, they're flying over the water.
But I didn't know.
And, I mean, they're so easy to see. You don't need anything, just some eyes. You don't need binocular, that's for sure.
Okay, so a couple, if we go to the second page of this list, things that we wish we were consulted on, I guess. We really, I guess as a committee, we would have been trying to emphasize, native planting, native trees, native plants, just instead of things that sometimes they become invasive. See, well, how about that wisteria? It's everywhere. So I don't know how we ask the association to, well, can we give you some ideas about native trees that you could plant? I've actually, there are some bald cypress around the Southgate Pond, closer to where the library is, which are, in this is the only county in Maryland where they're considered a native tree. And the ones that aren't in water, they don't develop the leaves. But they're actually a deciduous evergreen. No, I mean, that doesn't make sense. I guess, so they drop leaves. That's what I'm saying.
They are a deciduous coniferous.
Coniferous, yes, they produce cones, but they're not. But most of those, keep.
Like a large tree.
Yeah.
Large.
There's a couple of them that are pretty. I think one of the articles we did last year were about, planting natives, and I had an image of those. So
There's, the library, there's plenty of books on how, what the native trees are and what the native plants should be.
yes, it's
Or
well, you
just
go
look
to the
at that.
Department of Natural Resources as a whole
Yeah.
section on, planting natives, but
Yeah.
I understand there is officially an arborist employed by Ocean Points, not
I'm not sure.
consultant maybe.
I think just I believe one of the employees just happens to be, it's not hired as an arborist.
But has maybe a
Experience.
horticulture degree or something. The other problem is, the age of some of the trees requires that they be replaced at some point, they get diseased or they're. But, and I know this was a big issue for the former chair, Jim Peck, but, I know they have had to take trees down in this park, in this area, but and try to replace, obviously, nobody's going to go out and replace 30-foot tree with a 30-foot tree. The cost and expense of trying to do that, so. But, I mean, you can even get free trees from the Arbor Foundations. I don't know how we say, hey, can you ask us next time you plant trees, but. Then this other thing about the watercraft docks, the kayak launch, I think those are all like not our committee's concern. I did see those. I know the personal watercraft, jet skis. I did see where they are around the swim and racket club. They were like empty boat slips. So they put those in there, and I imagine people have to pay to use them. Correct. Because it was, I think, like a considerable expense to put them in, like $60,000. But that should be recouped if people, but I actually, last time I was already saw one that had been taken. Maybe people don't know about it. Again, those I don't think are really our issues, but I think kayak launches are a great idea, but that's really. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe at some point the association will look at committees overlap, and because our committee's main thing was protection of waterways and the St. Martin's River, but how does that jive with what marine activities? It's, they overlap. Okay, so then Jeff responded that they don't, you know, just because we submit something doesn't mean it's gonna be acted on, and we, so this one is one that kind of got me, was like, wait a minute, it says they're supposed to maybe consult with us, but they don't have to.
When I first, the first meeting, you discussed the woman resigning and her complaints. And then when I got this and I printed it and I started to read it, I was like, well, so if they don't, what would be the purpose even of the committees if they don't want to like take the advice? But you cleared that up because you said, yes, that does go to Mr. Viola and that he does address those
But
suggestions.
it doesn't mean that the association is going to take that advice and actually act on it.
But it is listened to.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that was my concern.
Oh, yeah,
What is the
absolutely.
point of being on a committee if you don't feel like you're making an
So how the process works is each committee through the chairperson, if you are asking for an initiative through a charging document, Pat sends it to me. I then send it to the board.
Mhm.
We all then have an opportunity to say, think this is a good idea. Oh, yeah, it's a great idea. I want you to pass it on. And then we pass it on to the associate.
Is there a board meeting this Saturday?
We have a board meeting Saturday.
Yeah.
But we do this via email.
Yeah.
We don't wait till the board meeting. So whenever you send me something, I send it to the board and, you know, if I get feedback, I get feedback. If not, I just ask the president to go ahead and forward it to John Viola for action.
And that's the same thing that happens with, committee applications, like, you got your application, or it was received at the administration, and then, it goes to the liaison and the chairperson of the committee, sign off on it. And I don't know how long it took you between when you applied and when you got the notification, maybe a month.
Yeah, at least a month. Yeah,
Because we gotta wait for the board.
because I was kind of like, oh, I think I'm not gonna go back or whatever. Because I've not been exactly on Facebook, the different groups, like when art things, did not get involved at all until the problem with the leaf issue came up. And then I started like thinking, well, what my opinion is best practices for the environment. And then I was like, well, instead of complaining about it, there was openings on the committee, maybe try to join the committee
There you go.
and make change in a different way.
That was a great idea, and if you know,
But I want to be able to make some effect, not just
Right.
come to a meeting just to talk.
So-
Everything that you all recommend, I promise
Yeah.
you, is looked at. But again, the point I was making with that response was, it doesn't mean it's going to get done.
Yeah, exactly.
so now we know, if you want to see how things get processed, watch the board meetings or attend them in person. You know, they're all available on Teams. Anybody can sign in. I think the only one they ask for your ID is at the annual meeting. Yeah.
But I did watch the meeting when that whole issue with the leaf violations came up. I did watch the board meeting after the fact because I didn't know, and I made sure I heard it, what was said personally. And then that's when I decided, well, maybe I needed to. sign
Yeah,
up.
after-
Try to help.
I started looking at the really, really long list of violations. I was like, wow, you know, my address was never mentioned, but I saw something, all these people getting cited for driveways. And then I actually downloaded the declarations of restrictions because going through that on the website is kind of difficult. You download it as PDF, keep it on, you know, in your files. But I saw, okay, I didn't understand what the driveway issue was until I read that. You don't have a paved driveway, which kind of against, you have to make sure that you have some kind of border to keep the stone or whatever you have in place.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my thing is the more paving you have, the
It's
worse it is for the
enough.
environment.
Water runoff you have, and the more these people, on the north side of Beecham Road, their backyards flood. Because they have not, I don't believe that drainage issue has been solved, because there's only 2 pipes going across Beecham Road. over the river run.
Oh, so it's out of the association. Here, take our wastewater now. I did notice, I guess, torrential rains we've had recently, a lot of people complaining about flooding in their yards.
We do that.
It's unusual amount of rain.
Yes, it is, but it could be the new normal. That's the scary
When
part.
I moved in, they did give me at closing the whole document
Packages.
of the regulations. But that was 10 years ago, so how do you get a new copy or just get the updated
It's
version?
online, so you can go on
Yeah.
and get it and download it as a PDF if you want to.
Yeah.
We are in the process of redoing that right now.
Yeah.
So I'd wait.
Yeah.
So we've done a first reading. Probably won't get to a second reading till in September. And we're making it easier to read, making it more clarified. Because sometimes you read things and you can interpret it one or two different ways.
Right.
We want to make sure that's not the case.
I don't think anybody's really trying to be in violation of
No, of
anything on
course not.
purpose.
Of course not.
But you should like be able to read the most current thing before you make a decision on what to do. Yeah, so
And they give
that's,
people plenty of chance to, reconcile whatever the issue is, and sometimes
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah.
And then there are a lot of like absentee owners, I imagine. there
well,
are
that's,
houses
I can see is the biggest issue.
Yeah, people that have, maybe a house has been, the original owners and pass it on, but nobody's taking care of it, who knows?
I will email you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I think it was on the committee's page where I found the thing to download, because it's like, where is this? And I knew that I got it too when we pressed, but I think that the issue that the propose, or it's already, I think, in practice of anybody who wants to make any changes to their property, the, having an as-built survey done.
That's part of our new.
I,
That's what we're
Having a what?
debating.
yeah,
Sorry, having a what?
okay, I have from when I bought the houses, we have a plat that shows
Yeah.
the boundaries and everything else, and I guess that's not enough now.
We have to have, we haven't
Updated.
landed on it yet, but that's one of the issues we're debating.
Built.
As-built survey, because you gotta understand that it happens all the time. Where somebody goes to sell their house and they haven't had an updated survey in 20 years and all this stuff may have been done without a permit. Or, you don't even know it's there, and then the new homeowner could get stuck to fix it.
That makes sense, because when I had an addition put on, we had to have that survey done.
Yeah.
And the contractor had to get it all approved
It's to
and
protect,
inspected.
but we're still debating that, so it's not done, it's not baked yet.
My understanding, it used to be an option that the buyer could request that or get it done on their own. It wasn't the responsibility of the seller necessarily. It's because apparently I did one of the recent board meetings, some guy wanted to put a fence in for his dog, and he said, it's not worth my money to go out and pay a couple $1,000s to have this done just so I can put in a, $200 fence. And that's where
Right. That's where maybe there's some
compromise.
compromise.
Size of project.
Exactly, there's some compromise, and that's what we're debating.
When was the
So,
last time the rules were updated? These?
We updated them in, November of 24,
Oh, okay, so it's.
minor, it was a minor, but this time we're going through.
it's pretty involved, and if you go through the whole DR.
And it's the Architectural Review Committee that's initiated this. So it's an advisory committee like you all. They're in charge of that document and they're doing the hard work.
But a lot, and then, again, if you watch or attend the board meetings, you can find out a lot of this information. And then you have the public comment section where people just say, I don't want to have to pay that because I only wanted to put up a $200 fence. I'm gonna do myself.
Right. So we're debating that.
There should, hopefully they will set some scope project that requires not just, something that is, we replaced our shed and I was told, and I emailed, info As long as it's the same color and same size as the existing one, you don't have to get a permit. So I was like, a little bit worried about that. Other than that, so I guess our answer is, if you want to see the feedback, watch board.
And you know, like I said, we all can be better at communicating. I mean, with like, an example is the vine issue. Again, you keep asking, I keep
Pushing.
asking and trying to get, you know, is this something that can be addressed or not, or is it gonna be put on the list? And so we just gotta communicate.
Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate your actually taking such an active role and, you know, participating in the things we've done. You're the second board liaison that I worked with, and, you know, I don't know how strict we're supposed to go with Robert's rules, but the previous one just kind of sat in a corner and didn't interact at all. And you have really, I mean, obviously you care about these issues as much as we do, and I appreciate that, so. Okay, and does anybody want a further discussion of this information or? Please. Jennifer, I know you've got a lot of highlights there. You're a highlighter person like I am. Is there anything else that you saw being the newest member of committee that you?
No, this was my concern and Jeff answered all of that questions. And I do, the idea about an article for the Green Street, maybe just a overall basic garden cleanup. Because the idea of letting people know that they could actually shred their leaves and then sprinkle them in their beds for over the winter, I don't think that would be a violation.
I mean, instead of going out and buying mulch, also, I just collect the pine needles and that's my mulch. I actually prefer that because a lot of the stuff you buy is got artificial dyes in it.
Right, they do, they're not, yeah.
And people, especially, you know, there's whole forest in the South Carolinas where they actually, people buy, you can buy pine.
Yeah.
Pine fines if you want to use those as mulch too.
But because let's face it, different parts of Ocean Pines, you've got more than an abundance of leaves to have to try to clean up.
Yeah, I could never make my yard completely leaf.
Yeah, there's no way. I live in a forest. So it's.
Well, that's, I mean, if you have some ideas on that, maybe share them and we can, you know, have the next meeting, we can discuss. We can have an article that's about more than one thing. It doesn't have to be.
Right, yeah, but if this is gonna be fall, you know, this is the time that people should be giving a thought to how to get their yard taken care of. And
I don't think we've ever done an article about oyster farming.
oh, now that would be interesting because I don't know much about it.
Well, as I said, I've never seen it. But I mean, that would be another thing, especially since we have now two committees sponsoring and if we have everybody with a waterfront property to do that. And I know it would be difficult for part-timers because you're not here to clean it, but for full-time residents. It's another, and we could, you know.
There's a lot out there. If you kayak the canals or you're a boater, there's a lot of oyster.
It'd be interesting to try to take a survey to see how many people are doing it. Between, probably marine activities and us.
It would be, and then,
I think, but Joe,
well, I always said to recognize those individuals, then you start getting private information on the person.
Like Joe has at least.
yeah, so I was gonna say, he must know how many he's given out. And maybe even, you know, interviewing some of the people that do it, like you did, Ryan. Yeah. About how rewarding it is. My pet oysters. It's like, I don't have to walk them. I don't have to.
Do you love your pets?
No, that's it. Only in parts of the idea, you know, because that's another thing. You're not supposed to. They're not for consumption. They're for replenishing beds.
Just to help with water.
If you want to eat oysters, the Shaw Fire Department has a really great oyster feast. Very
I don't, my daughter loves raw oysters.
So that's also another thing, I mean, so you do get oysters and I guess people more eat clams at home, that kind of shellfish rather than oysters.
Hard
Oysters, so Because, saving the shells so that they can be repurposed.
Yep.
and Be reintroduced into the waterway for spat to find and, grow.
I'm using this mulch, just kind of a, instead of stone, something, put some more streams, but it gets, there's better uses for them. Those things are pretty hard to open unless you're an expert. I've taken to, just roasting them for minutes and then you open the shells. Yeah, but that can't even wrong, but really good though. Yeah, don't eat the ones you put in your, cage.
Okay, I would like to bring up a thing for discussion. Maybe it's a proactive approach that I'm looking at, but there were 4 or 5 of the cherry trees knocked down over by the library. And, what's the public works going to do? Replace in kind, or could we make a recommendation to them to either plant a native tree, dogwoods, which are flowering, turn them over to the garden club to have their flowering or bee pollinators in those areas. Like I said, there's like 4 or 5 locations. Or else do nothing to see them.
Yeah, I know that there's also crepe myrtles along this area.
Yeah. There's magnolias,
Yeah.
magnolias and crepe myrtles, but they weren't taken out. It was
Just some of those newer
the
cherry trees.
cherry
It
trees.
was- I would have, if they had taken out the other trees, it probably would have, the car probably wouldn't have survived, so there's some big trees.
Did they ever find the guy who did it?
Yeah. So it's probably an insurance claim. Ocean Pines are probably gonna get money for that. So before they spend money on non-native trees, we make a recommendation for them to do something else.
Well, I'm in favor of trees only because their impact on, cleaning the air and coolness. When you lose trees, you go more towards that heat island effect that we don't want. So I don't know. I think it's, I don't know how you'd approach it with the charging document.
Yeah, just make a quick charging document and say, this would be our recommendation and
Well, which trees do we want to recommend?
So do we agree that,
Not the dogwood.
it's part of the Ocean Pines beautification range. That's why cherries.
They want
Some of
flowering
like,
trees.
Washington DC with Buckingham Springs. So we could just say to be planted with non-native trees, or with native trees, like, a variety of dogwood or other. trees.
Yeah, when you go to the natives, the flowering ones,
The silky and the red twig are all native Delaware.
so those that flower. Research a list, I'll go on the DNR site and see what they say.
I did that, and as I said, and I don't know the gene species, but the flowering dogwood, the silky.
Kusa, No, that's
No, not
Japanese,
Kusa.
that's the Japanese, that's the non-native.
No.
Oh, you want Cornus florida, I think it's the native.
Or other native species, of tree that they're going to.
I like trees. The thing I like about them, they're evergreen all year, and you don't have to worry about the leaves falling off onto the ground and then get the leaves before they go out into the water in the canal.
There are native hollies,
Well, I know the 2 I have in the front of my house are,
they don't
they're
produce
wonderful.
flowers. but
I
they're very
put 'em in.
insignificant.
They really came out.
Berries. But you have to have a male and a female tree to get berries, so that gets complicated.
How close in proximity?
Don't know for sure, but
There's a lot of holly here. I mean, you can't cut holly
it
down.
pops up in my yard asked for all the time. Hey, I didn't plant you things. So if you already did the research on this,
Those 3 were the 3 that came up.
what was the other one besides dogwoods?
Well, the flowering dogwood, the silky dogwood, and the rest.
Was it called silky?
Silky inside, okay. Maybe you better.
Red twig,
Red twig.
is that the same as, it's not the same as a red?
I think it might be. Where's the description?
There's a red twig dogwood, is that what you meant?
Let's look up Delmar, native.
Okay, Okay, any other additional items people wanted to bring up? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Don. Is someone second? Jennifer, or no, it's Ann, okay. All right, well, thank you.